Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. I know my background looks a little bit off right now because I did kind of change up my room a little bit. The other day I asked you guys on my Instagram what you guys wanted to see for my next video, and it was between a prom makeup tutorial and a how-to prep foundation highlight contour video. So of course the how-to video one, I know it can get a little bit super overwhelming when so much information is thrown at you at once. So I really wanted this video to be super easy to understand and comprehend for you guys. So hopefully I did achieve that throughout this video. But other than that, if you are interested in learning how to achieve a contoured slate face, then just please keep on watching. Now, it's really important you guys figure out what skin type you do have, because depending on what skin type you do have will determine what products will work best for your skin. Now, here are the main skin types there is or are, I'm not sure, but these are the main skin types. So we do have dry skin, we do have oily skin, we do have combination skin, and we also have normal skin. I will go briefly through each and every single one, even though it's pretty much self-explanatory. But if you do have dry skin, your skin most of the time feels very flaky, very dry in texture. Also, you feel like you have to keep applying some sort of lotion or moisturizer throughout the day because you feel like you're cracking. If you do have oily skin, most of the time throughout the day, you're shiny, especially throughout your T-zone area. You feel like you have to keep patting yourself because you look shiny, and you just feel like you feel oily all throughout the day. So if you do feel that way, you most likely have oily skin. Now, if you are somebody who feels very flaky and dry around the perimeters of your face, but are mainly oily throughout your T-zone area, that means you have combination skin, or it can be vice versa. It depends. All of our skins are very much different. And lastly, if you are somebody who really doesn't battle with any kind of problem throughout your skin pretty much feels normal, like you don't have an issue with it, you most likely have normal skin. If you are someone who has dry skin, a lot of hydrating products would work best for your skin, or dewy products. If you are somebody who has oily skin, mattifying products would work best for your skin. If you are someone who has combination skin, there is a lot of different products that are specifically made for combination skin. If you are somebody who has normal skin, the great and blessing part about having normal skin is that you can get away with using any of the products that I just mentioned. You kind of have to figure out what works best for your skin. For me personally, I do have normal skin, although I do like to use a lot of mattifying products only because those are the products that last a lot longer for me. Now that you have figured out what skin type you have, we can move on to prepping our face. Pretty much the only two products that are very necessary throughout prepping your skin would be a moisturizer and primer, even though I pretty much don't believe in primers, but there are some primers that I do highly believe in and that do make the biggest difference on the skin type you may have. Now with moisturizer, not only is it going to make your skin feel beautiful, but it's also going to really hydrate and moisturize your skin, and it's also going to create a barrier between your skin and the foundation you're going to be using. So now we're going to be applying our moisturizer, of course, and the first moisturizer that I'm going to be applying is this Pixi Skin Treats. This is the Rose Ceramide Cream. Moving on to primers. Like I mentioned before, I do not believe in just any primer. I think the only primers that I do highly believe in are blurring primers. And the reason why I do believe more in blurring primers than any primer that exists in this world is because blurring primers actually do have an effect on your skin. If you are somebody who has acne prone skin, really large pores, or has a lot of texture in skin, it is really going to smooth out that base on your skin, and it's going to create a really smooth barrier for when you do apply your foundation. But other than that, any other primer really I feel like does absolutely nothing for you. And so I do try to use them more like moisturizers than I do primers. So I am going to just be using, honestly, the Mercier foundation primer in Hydrating. I just love how this stuff feels, you guys. It feels amazing. Now let's move on to foundation. For foundation, at this point, it should be easy for you to know what foundation works best for your skin now that you know what kind of skin type you do have. Like I mentioned before, I do like using a lot of products that are very full coverage, super mattifying, that are going to last all day, and usually a lot of full coverage foundations and a lot of mattifying foundations are the main two foundations that are going to last the longest. For me personally, you guys have been seeing me use this foundation probably since I started my channel, because this has to be about the only foundation that I personally have seen that works best for my skin and just has never ever failed me. I haven't found anything that works best as like the MAC Studio Fix Fluid Foundation, and this one is in the shade NC37. And I really love how full coverage this foundation is, you guys. It's so freaking amazing. I mean, look at this. This is just like one full layer, and look at the difference. It's like crazy. All right, you guys, so now we have our foundation on. I did just want to talk about the application for those who obviously have no idea how to apply your foundation or with what to apply it with. For me personally, I've always stuck to a damp beauty blender only because this is the only thing that gives me a flawless base. Now let's talk about the beauty blender. If you are somebody who wants to use a beauty blender but does not know how to use a beauty blender, now you do want to use your beauty blender damp. The reason why you never want to use the beauty blender dry is because if you were to apply the foundation with your dry beauty blender, the foundation is pretty much going to absorb literally all in your beauty blender, as opposed to when the beauty blender is already damp and you do decide to apply your foundation, the beauty blender is not going to absorb so much of it because the beauty blender is already wet. So that is really the reason why we like to use the beauty blender damp, although the other reason would be because it makes it a lot larger in size and a lot more bouncier and softer in consistency. So the beauty blender is just going to really apply smoothly throughout your entire face. I usually like to go in dabbing motions like this, super quick. And you also do want to make sure you do drag down the foundation all the way down your neck. You never want to be that girl that has one shade of color on your jawline and then the other one on your neck. Like, that is just not cute. I do like to blend this. I do like to blend the foundation all the way to my ears and down my neck. All right, guys, so moving on to the next step. Now, with this next step, it really all depends on what you are wanting to achieve for your makeup look that day. I am just going to give you guys the full-on glam cream highlight and contour for today, since that is personally what I do every single time when I do highlight and contour my face. If you guys are more of a soft glam type of gal, obviously apply less of what I did, etc. If you guys are not familiar with contour are the areas on your face or body where you want to shrink or hide or make smaller. Shrink is the same thing, whatever. If you guys are not familiar with highlighting is the point of light. So highlighting is mainly places in your face or body that you want to make bigger, make brighter, or attract more of. So there is two different types of contour and highlight. There is creams and there is powders. I like to personally do both. So first, I do like to go in with my cream contour because I do tend to get a little bit messy with it. So it's easier for me to clean up once I do add my highlight. So first, I like to go in with this Born This Way MultiUse Sculpting Concealer. I really love these concealers. If you guys have not tried these yet, I highly recommend you do so. They're super hydrating, they're not drying at all, and they're obviously multi-use. So I sometimes can mix these into my foundation to make them darker or lighter, and they're just amazing. They really are. They're super buildable, so you can go really light with this or go really heavy. If you guys are not sure where to apply your contour on your cheekbones, if you were to go like this, you can tell where your cheekbones are at. But if you still don't know, you can tell by this center of your ear or where your hairline stops. Now, the thing about applying contour on your cheekbones, a lot of us obviously have so many different shapes and sizes of our face. So depending what face you have or how you want your contour, that's how you should apply your contour. So I really love that super snatched facelift effect. So I do like to add my contour a little bit up higher. That way my cheekbones have an illusion that they are lifted. And so yeah, if you guys want more of a rounder face, make the contour a little bit more round. If you want a more lifted effect, apply your contour a little bit higher. Now, if you wanted to cream contour your nose to make smaller, you can totally do that, your jawline, but I typically don't really ever like to do that. Now, to blend out the contour, you can use your beauty blender, although I do like using this dense brush from Real Techniques. This is my favorite brush. This is the Expert Face brush because it's a lot more quicker than using this beauty blender. So I'm just going to quickly blend this all out the same way we use a beauty blender, just dabbing it and dragging it out into my hairline. There's no trace as to where I did start contouring and where I ended. So you want to make sure you do blend everything out really good. And just right here, I'm just going to be dragging this upwards. And if you do feel like you have a lot of product on your brush, just add that right on your jawline. Now we're going to do a little bit of color correcting. I pretty much like to use concealer like these to actually color correct. So what I like to do is I like to grab a shade lighter or the same shade of concealer, and I do like to go over it just one layer where I think I have discoloration. So I do like to go around my mouth area because I feel like I have the darkest discoloration right there, and also obviously my under eyes. I do like to go in with my beauty blender this time and just blend everything out. You guys, I completely forgot this vanilla shade is not my shade anymore since I tanned, and so now it looks hella white, but it's okay. It's okay. You get the point. This is pretty much what I do if I have the right fucking shade of concealer. For highlighting, it doesn't matter because I do like a super bright under eye anyway, but for this shade, you get the point. It's gonna be this almost the same exact shade as your foundation, and once you do apply it onto your chin, I do like to drag it upward to the under part where we contoured right here, and it just cleans it all out for you guys, as you guys can see right here. Okay, so with cream highlighting, of course, I do like to go in obviously on my T-zone. If you guys are not aware where your T-zone is at, usually the T-zone is your forehead, the bridge of your nose, your chin, and then underneath your eye area. That's pretty much where you're mainly going to be highlighting all the time. I am going to be using Fair Neutral and Light Sand from Tarte Shape Tape. Now, like I mentioned, I really love a super bright under eye area. I don't really like highlighting so much of my forehead and my chin. I do like highlighting my nose. So this really all depends what preference and what personally you like to do and what you want to highlight on your face. So 1, 2 marks like that. You don't necessarily have to do the way that I'm doing it, but you get the point. I go in with the same beauty sponge, and I like to blend out the bridge of my nose first since it doesn't have a lot of product, and I just blend out the under eye. And what I do like to do, I mentioned earlier today that I really like a super snatched facelift effect. So what I like to do is I do like to obviously blend this out all over my under eye, all the way in to my inner corner on the sides of my nose. Like this. I kind of stop right at my nostril. Make sure you blend that out. And I do like to drag this up all the way up onto my hairline. And I carefully like to blend out that contour and highlight together. So now we're gonna move on to setting our face. Now this is my favorite part because I truly believe that the main product that keeps your makeup on the entire day is your setting powder and the way that you do set your entire face. So of course the next step is to set the face. I'm going to be setting it of course with this Laura Mercier translucent powder. I do like adding the product on the top here. And I do like using the damp beauty blender that we use to blend out the concealer. And I am going to be setting the T-zone area with the beauty blender first. And I'm just going to make sure I blend out all of my creases, because once I set it with the translucent powder, that is it. There's no going back. So I'm just going to be using the same side that we used to blend the concealer. As you guys, there's this side and then there's this cleaner side. But I'm going to be using the side we used to blend the concealer. And I'm just going to press on the beauty blender. It's going to look like this with the powder. And I'm just gonna press this on that under eye area first. And lightly you're dragging it to my hairline, but I'm not going to add so much powder there. I'm just gonna press this on my chin as well, and my forehead, and my nose. You really want to make sure you set that T-zone area really, really good. And then grab like a big fluffy brush like this or like this and add literally the slightest amount all over the rest of the face. And I just like to dab it as well. I like to really press it into the skin. I don't like to rub it all on my skin. I like to press it in. I am going to be adding some of this Matte Ambition All Day Foundation powder from CoverGirl. This is their full spectrum powder, and it is in the shade Light Medium Golden. And the reason obviously why I do want to apply this all over the outer perimeters of my face is because I do want to add color back into my skin. I know that sometimes, depending on the powders that you do use, you can lose the color of your skin. So you do want to add a foundation powder or a color powder that's similar to your skin, and it's just going to add that color back into your skin. So as you guys can see, I am just adding this on the outer perimeters, which is around my forehead and all over pretty much my cheek area. And this brush, humongous brush, is from Morphe. This is the E41. Now we're going to highlight and contour our face with powder. So like I mentioned, we did do creams. Now it's time to do powders. The reason why I do like to do both is because it does tend to last 10 times longer than if I was just to do cream or if I was to just do powder. So both of them together really, really help each other last longer throughout the entire day. For our contours and bronzers, we are going to be using this Bahama Mama from the Balm, and I am also going to be using this Bronze B120 Sun Kissed Snitch from Pretty Vulgar. It looks like this. If you are somebody who is really fair, I definitely recommend using powders or creams that are more on the cooler side. If you are somebody like me who has medium skin tones or more of a deeper complexion, I definitely recommend using more of like warmer tones, warm powders, it is going to be a lot more flattering on your skin. It's not going to look too muddy, and for my fair gals, it's not going to look too orange, if you know what I mean. And I am going to be using this DUcare brush. It does come in a brush set. You can find them on Amazon. I love this brush specifically for contour. And I'm just going to be adding the Bahama Mama first. And I really love using these types of brushes because it just fits super nicely right on the cheekbone area when you're working with contours. I do like to go heaviest right here on the starting point of the contour, and then towards my cheekbones right here, I do like to go very lightly, obviously, and I do like to go in circular motions and just blend out that highlight and contour together. Like I mentioned, I don't like any harsh lines whatsoever, so I do like to make sure everything is well blended out. It's going to basically contour on all of the areas where we cream contoured our face. You really want to stay away from where you carved out your contour earlier because you don't want to go anything too lower than that, or else your face is going to look super droopy. So if you don't know the difference between contour and bronzer, it's pretty much the same thing, kind of, but not really, but kind of. I really like to use contour, obviously, to really carve out my face, whether it's my cheekbones, my forehead, my nose, whatever the case might be. The bronzer is always going to come up to be a little bit more warmer than the contour that you're using. It is going to be to apply more warmth into your skin, look a little bit more bronzy and more sun-kissed, you would say. To bronze my face, I do like to use this Morphe M405 brush. It is a little bit larger in size, but it is a little bit angled, and I do like it because it just flares out into the skin really good. And I do apply that right on top of that contour just to warm it up a little bit. And I do like to drag it upwards as well. You guys know we're going for that snatched, you know, facelift effect. And if you have to go in with a clean brush and just blend out those harsh lines, oh my god, please do so, because you don't want to blend out all of those other contour and bronzer shades everywhere, especially in this area right here. I do use a lot of concealer and I do use a lot of powders underneath my eye area. It can look a little bit crusty and dusty, even though everything looks pretty well blended out, especially if you are somebody who has really dry skin and feels like no matter what you put underneath your eye area, it always feels super crusty and just dry off. Try this first. So I do like to go in with my damp beauty blender, of course. I do like to go in with MAC Fix Plus. This is my all-time favorite hydrating mist. I do like to apply it on my damp beauty blender, and I do like to just dab it on my hand first, get it warmed up, and then I do like to add it right underneath my eye. Do not be scared. I promise you, if you did what I just did, you will be completely fine. I promise. Oh my gosh, you guys, it makes the biggest difference. Seriously, it is so freaking bomb. And look at the difference. This side looks so freaking flawless and just amazing, and this side looks a little bit more crusty. And I do like to do this also because it really makes my highlight appear a lot more pigmented. I will show you guys here in a little bit. I am going to be grabbing this Sigma High Cheekbone Highlighter in F03, and I'm going to be grabbing this CoverFx Perfector Face Palette, and I'm going to be taking this shade down here, and I'm just going to be adding this right on the highest points of my cheeks, really gently and softly, dabbing it like that. And I just like to add a little bit on my Cupid's bow right here on top of my eyebrows or temples. Oh, I love blush. It just literally makes the entire look put all together. But I'm going to be using this Morphe M405 brush, the one we use for our bronzer, and I'm going to be taking this PLoise palette, and I'm going to be taking literally these two orange shades right here. This one is more of like an orange shade, and this one is more of like a red orange. So I really love using peachy orange blushes for me personally. And I'm just gonna be blending everything together with this blush really gently. And to finish off this entire face, I'm just going to go in with my Ride or Die MAC Fix Plus. Like I mentioned, this is not a setting spray. This is just a hydrating mist. And I love using this specifically only because since I do use a lot of products on my skin, especially a lot of powders, this is going to melt everything together onto my skin. It's just, everything's just going to look like skin, and I just love it. It just melts everything together. So I'm just gonna be spraying this all over my face. All right guys, so that's pretty much it for this video. I did not add any setting spray because, like I did mention previously, I do not believe in setting spray, so I never really like to add any. I just pretty much stick to MAC Fix Plus at the end, and that's that. If you guys have any questions or concerns regarding all of the products that I did use throughout this video, including the brushes, I will list them all down below in the description box for you guys, as well as all of my social media. That way you guys know what I do when I'm not on YouTube. I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys soon in my next video. Bye guys.